Hi, welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you don't know me, I am Pranita, and if you clicked on this video, you probably are interested in art. And I post a lot of art videos, so if you like what you see so far, don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel and keep on watching this video. Now, I actually was shooting another video when I realized that I don't have an intro for this video, so yeah, I'm just quickly standing over here and shooting the intro. Now, as I mentioned in my previous video, that we are going to be renovating the house, so I might have to switch positions. So this is one such wall that I actually want to show it to you guys. So this is something that I painted. This is a wall in my living room, and this is something that I painted approximately 5 years ago. This wall is gonna go now, so I just wanted to take my chance and show this in my video. And anyways, coming back to this video now, this is just any regular acrylic to painting tutorial. In this video, I'm going to teach you how to paint the sky and how to paint waves. I personally feel that when you're painting landscapes, you might face a difficulty when you're painting the sky and when you're painting the ocean. I have a bunch of tutorials on my channel, so in case you're interested to check them out, I'll leave the links in the description. I have a beginner's guide to acrylic painting as well, and this is just a little advanced, but if you've been following the beginner's guide, then this is something that you should definitely try. And yeah, without any further talking, let's get started. Okay, so let's get started. Now, if you're new here, you probably don't know, but I always use the synthetic flat brushes by Camlin. I'm using the same ones for this painting. Now, I'm going to start off with taking some white, some flesh tints, some yellow. Now, if you notice, I'm using the same brush to take the paints on the palette. Now, that's because I don't like wasting paints on the brushes. I don't know, if you're an artist, I think you might relate to me. I start by taking the lightest color first. So I started with white, then yellow, flesh tint, salmon pink, orange, teal blue, ultramarine blue, and then black. Okay, so I'm starting with making the sky first. I want a very light blue on top and some orange at the crease line. So I'm using some teal, some ultramarine blue, and a lot of white because I want it to be light. When you're painting on an MDF board, it'll take time to layer the colors on top. Now you see the first layer looks very dull. I'm also adding some orange at the crease of the sky. Now that's because I'm going to place my clouds in that area and I plan on doing orange clouds. So that's what I'm going to do. For the ocean, I'm using ultramarine blue and black. I want the ocean to be darker. You start with a darker color on top and then you work your way down and make the paint lighter. So basically you start with dark and then go lighter towards the bottom. And I used orange at the base because I'm going to show a reflection of the sky in the ocean. Now I waited for the first layer to dry and then I went ahead with the second layer. As you see, the color is really building up, and I again used some orange and some white and some flesh tint for the cloud area. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep like a clear sky on top, and then I'm going to have the orange clouds just mix in with the tint of purple between the blue. I think it will look really nice. That is what I was aiming for, and that is how it was in the reference image that I used. Now again, as you see, I'm trying to make the horizontal line very crisp because you'll notice later how much of a difference a very sharp horizontal line that separates the sky and the ocean makes. Now again, like I said before, for the ocean I'm using black and ultramarine blue. You're starting with dark and then lighten the colors as you move downwards. Now I really like the second layer, but I thought it wasn't enough, so I went ahead with one more layer. I again added some white and some blue, and I was really hoping to get some really fresh light blue, which I think I got in the third go. And yet again I'm adding some orange, and now you see I'm tracing the clouds with orange first, and then I've also added some white because I don't want to make it dark in the first go. I first made the traces with orange and then I'm using flesh tint and white to give the highlights to the clouds. Now, there's no such right or wrong way to paint clouds, but the way that I do it is I use the dab and push effect, or I also use the circular motion effect. Now for the circular motion, what I have to do is just go in circles with the brush. I'm using a flat brush, as you see. Always remember that you need to give a base first. My base here is orange and then I'm giving highlights with flesh tint and white. Then I'm also adding some yellow and white together. I'm not going ahead with bright yellow, but I'm mixing the two up and just blending it in the orange. And to blend the blue with the orange, I'm using purple. Now to get the purple, I just added some teal and some salmon pink, and that's how I got the purple that I'm using. And yeah, just play around with it. Don't overdo it. Sometimes you might use more space than needed. And as you see, I'm just going over and over again until I really like the structure of the cloud. What I'm actually doing here is I'm trying to keep a little yellow in the center portion, as you see. Now that is because I'm trying to show that the sun is hiding behind the clouds. I'm going to make it more bright later on, and that reflection is going to be seen on the waves. You'll see that in a minute, but let me just finish the clouds and we'll see how it goes. Just giving some final touches and we're good to go with the clouds. Now don't worry, your clouds don't have to look like mine. No clouds are of the same size. You can make your own clouds. Let your brush just flow, and you can reduce the speed of this video to see what I do exactly. Now I'm just going ahead with darkening the horizontal line a little more. I directly used black. The ultramarine wasn't making much of a difference, so I used black, and then I moved my way down with adding some ultramarine blue. You see, I have kept my strokes light in some areas and dark in the other to create a wave kind of effect. And now I'm just going to use some light blue to structure out the waves the way I want them to look. Now painting waves could be a task, but all you have to remember is outline the waves first, then you can fill it up with darker colors, then you can add a highlight color to it. So as you see, I traced out my waves with light blue, then I'm filling in with some ultramarine blue and a mixture of black to show fuller waves. And then I'm going to use orange as my highlight color. Now you can also use light blue, you can use grey, but what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to create a reflection of the sky on the waves. Painting the waves can take a few layers. You might mess it up, but it's okay. You can always paint on top of it like you'll see me doing. Now I'm using light blue to create some highlights. You have to place your highlights just above the dark layer. What you see me doing here is I'm trying to attempt
a trace back of waves showing the orange reflection. Now, I don't know how successful I'm going to be, but this is just my attempt at it. I'm adding some depth with black. You see how much of a difference it makes. It's really easy, but what you need to do is you need to understand that some waves are going to be up and some are going to be down. So you need to add depth to your waves with a darker shade, and as you add the depth, you need to highlight with a lighter color. I'm just drawing some highlights with orange, like you see. Now at this point it looks nice, but I think I overdid it at some point. But I fix it, so don't worry. If you happen to make the same mistakes, you can always fix it like I did. You can use a detailed brush for this. I'm using the size 00, and for the waves I use the size 4. Just play on top of it over and over again, and you'll see that your waves are slowly starting to get the depth that you are aiming for. You see how I added the depth with black, and then I'm smudging it in a little. I'm doing the same with the wave at the bottom. And then I'm taking some orange, and exactly on top of the darker layer I'm going to add the orange highlight. At the bottom I'm just trying to make a trace over of the waves, and I also added some red to give it more depth. Making it a little more lighter with fresh tint and then blending it in with the blue. It's very important that you blend it in, otherwise it looks very crisp and doesn't give a very realistic effect. I'm going over and over with the black to create the depth. Again, just repeating the process over and over again, making a darker layer and then adding a highlight color just on top of it. Painting waves for me takes a little trial and error, and it might do for you as well. If you're just starting out or if you're new to painting, it might take time to learn how to paint waves, but it's okay. You can always paint on top of it again if you don't like it. Now let's do the rest of the waves. Now, as you see, I wasn't very happy with the highlights that I made at the top. So I added some ultramarine blue and black and evened it out, and then I think it looks much better now. And then I'm just adding very little highlights for it to look a little realistic and not fake. And this time I'm adding orange highlights instead of blending. I think it makes more sense to add orange since my sky is completely orange. Just giving the final touches, blending it all in. And the last part is making sparkles. Now this is my favorite part. For this painting, I mixed yellow and white to make a very light yellow which almost looks like white. You can actually go ahead and use Plestin, but I like yellow and white together. And then what you do is you start from the top of the crease line, you draw dots. Then you move on to making lines and you make it just above your waves to create the sparkling effect of the sun. Don't overdo it, otherwise it doesn't look really nice. Just make sure your sparkles fall right under the sun's direction, and yeah, don't overdo it, and we're done with the painting.
So that was it for this video. I hope you guys learned something about how to paint the skies and how to paint the ocean. I hope this video was helpful. If it was, don't forget to leave it a like and also comment down below and let me know if you want to see more such videos, and subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already. It means the world to me and I would really appreciate if you do so, and I'll see you next time. Bye.